So a little over a year ago, I made a video discussing how the basketball sneaker market was pretty much dead as a whole. The main reasons I pointed out for this downfall was a lack of innovation, designs that didn't have enough emphasis on how the shoes actually looked, and a lack of young star power in the industry. And as someone who has an irrational love for basketball shoes, I'm proud to report that things have taken some major steps in the right direction. Today, I'll be going over some of the changes that have happened since March of 2022, what still needs to change, and discuss whether or not the industry can get back to its heights of the past. A lot has gone down in the hoop shoe scene in the last year or so. Most notably, there has been a ton of shakeups in terms of the signature shoe department. Luka Doncic released his first signature shoe last June, and actually recently put out his second one as well. And then Ja Morant and Jason Tatum's debut shoes both came out in April of this year as well. In terms of what's on the horizon, Sabrina Ionescu, Anthony Edwards, and Devin Booker are all going to be getting signature lines in the near future as well. More to come on D-Book in a few minutes. There have also been some notable exits as well, as it's all but confirmed that Paul George's signature line has come to an end, while Kyrie Irving left Nike for Anta. Kyrie will surely have a signature line with his new sponsor. I don't see his new line having nearly the same impact that his Nike one did in the US because of logistical reasons. Now that we have the landscape laid out, let's get into what's actually new. And I'm happy to report that it's a bunch of much more digestible designs. After the LeBron line was in a slump for almost a decade straight, Nike completely switched gears with the LeBron 20. Instead of these overly complex designs that either had a big fat Air Max unit or a super weird shape, they finally stripped things back and gave us this beautiful, simple silhouette. For pretty much the entirety of his career, LeBron's signature shoes have always been big and bulky. While it makes sense, since he's such a massive human who plays with so much force, it really limited the reach of his shoes. Sure, there were some awesome designs over the years, but no guards could ever really wear his shoes because they were just so heavy. Think about it. Over the 2 decades plus LeBron has been in the league, there are very few times I can remember his contemporaries wearing his flagship line. Off the top of my head, I can remember Manu did in the 2013 finals, but I really struggle to think of anyone else. And this isn't because it's something like LeBron isn't well liked or anything. Players have worn his budget lines plenty throughout the years. It's just that his flagship shoes were always just so massive in shape and size. But if you look around the league this past season, there were plenty of guys who wore his sneakers all year long. This trickled down to the masses, as the LeBron 20 was his best-selling shoe since the LeBron 11. So it makes sense for Nike to double down on this new look, as the first images of the 21 that came out show a very similar overall look and feel as the 20. I'm so happy this is finally happening because whether we like it or not, LeBron is at the head of the table when it comes to basketball shoes today, and has by far the most impact out of anyone with a signature line at the moment. When his sneakers are doing well, the basketball shoe market as a whole is going to be doing well. But when his line is in the gutter like it was from 2015 to 2022, the rest of the market's going to suffer as well. With this newfound success, design teams have followed in line and have gone with this new formula that seems to work so well. When we take a look at the younger guys I mentioned before that recently got signature shoes, it's clear that designers are making a conscious effort to try and find that performance style balance that was lost over the last 7 or 8 years. When looking at the original models from the Ja, Luka, and Ionescu lines, they all do a great job of toning it back with a much more casual approach to the silhouettes, which I absolutely love. While this is going to lead to much better looking basketball shoes at courts across the world, I still don't think it's enough for the industry to take its spot back at the center of pop culture like it once was. That's where Devin Booker could come into play though. Last month, Devin Booker's debut signature shoe with Nike leaked, which absolutely ruffled some feathers online. While this leak is extremely confusing to me, I think it shows some real promise. This black colorway is so different and unorthodox compared to what everyone else is used to from modern basketball shoes, that I feel like people didn't even realize that 2 completely separate models tied to Booker's name leaked. The black and orange shoes share some similarities in terms of its general shape, but the 2 have completely different ankle cuts, Nike logos, and stitching on the upper. This could mean one of 3 things. Option 1, Devin Booker is debuting with both a flagship and a budget line. Something I find very unlikely considering he hasn't sold a single sneaker yet. Option 2, the orange sneaker is the on-the-court performance model, while the black one is a lifestyle release. I think this is possible, but I'd be surprised if Nike brings back those lifestyle models after those LeBrons and KDs failed pretty miserably. And option 3, the orange ones aren't affiliated with him at all. Given the branding of the book logo on the tongue of the black shoe, I think it's fair to assume that this silhouette is at the very least going to be used in some form of capacity. All of the sneaker blogs are saying that this orange one is going to be called the Clay Orange, and that it's coming out as well, but until we see some definitive proof of this shoe with some sort of Devin Booker branding, we're going to focus on the black model, because that one is much more interesting anyways. When I talked about the LeBron 20 being a shoe that can be worn both on and off the court, I was referring to them being worn in the gym or in that athleisure sense that's so common nowadays. However, with this D-Book model, it looks like Nike went all the way in on making a shoe that they fully want to be used off the court just as much, if not more than on it. And it makes sense that they're utilizing a guy like Booker to try and make this succeed. He's known for his old school style with retro cars, Dickie pants, and Chuck Taylors. So this extremely simplistic and black design that's supposedly coming out definitely lines up with the aesthetic that he's created for himself over the years. And when we take another look at the LeBron 21s, this is also trending in the same direction as the D-Book shoe, as it's going to be the first LeBron shoe to feature suede on it since the LeBron 8. Having materials that isn't just synthetic and plastic is going to be huge in terms of getting basketball sneakers back into the limelight, because they're familiar to the everyday wearer. These LeBrons are cool, but they still look like a performance basketball shoe at the end of the day. Devin Booker's debut succeeded in the fact that it really could just be a casual shoe, but they also look like which really worries me. Let's say that these D-Book sneakers come out and they absolutely flop. I think Nike will be quick to say, oh well, we tried something new and the market clearly didn't respond. Time to go back to our old ways. But I don't think you can really say that until you make something that is actually competent. If they make another edition of the D-Book with a casual design that actually pulls off what they're attempting to do and it still doesn't sell well, then I can understand pulling the plug on this whole idea. So in a nutshell, basketball shoes might actually have a path back into the spotlight for the first time in well over a decade. We'll just have to wait and see if that actually comes into fruition. But before we get out of here, I wanted to quickly touch on the other aspect of basketball shoes that have seen a revitalization of some sort. And that's the weird, innovative designs that went away during the last 5 years or so. Models like the old Adidas Kobe sneakers, Foamposites, and Agent Zeros were all highly polarizing during their time of release, but are looked at much more fondly now because of their uniqueness. In my last video, I highlighted how it felt like most sneakers were just playing it safe and never wanted to take a risk. That's fine, as the Jaws and Lukas that I mentioned before definitely fall under that blanket, but they at least look super clean. The worst place for a sneaker to be, in my opinion, is stuck in between trying to be weird and prioritizing looks. And that's exactly what's happened in recent years. But the new Tatum and Harden shoes are all the way in left field, with looks that we quite literally have never seen before. The masses have responded to them positively as well, as you're very likely to find at least one person rocking these sneakers at any pickup run across the country. So even if the basketball sneaker does go in a different, more casual direction like I mentioned before, sneakers like this and the Way of Wade line will surely continue to carry the torch in terms of high-level performance models. And I hope that ends up happening, because I really think there is room for both performance and casual basketball sneakers in the market, which would mean that there's a perfect sneaker out there for everybody. And that's all I have for you guys today. Let me know in the comments what you think about the current state of basketball sneakers. Let me know if you would rock the upcoming Devin Bookers, and I'll see you guys in the next video.